All right, team. Welcome to the Standard Podcast, where we raise the bar, rebuild the culture, and call out the lies nobody else will. This isn't motivation. This is a movement. I'm Thomas Rowe, and today I'm sitting down with my co-host, Aaron Charles Bowers, and we're just sitting down with Malik Jackson, a 10-year NFL veteran defensive tackle who knows what it takes to compete at the highest level. Malik played for the Denver Broncos, Jacksonville Jaguars, Philadelphia Eagles, and Cleveland Browns. He's a Super Bowl 50 champion with the Broncos, where he scored the game's first touchdown on a fumble recovery. He was named to the Pro Bowl in 2017 and was part of the legendary Sacksonville defensive line in Jacksonville that became one of the most dominant units in the NFL. From being drafted in the 5th round out of Tennessee to winning championships and battling through 10 seasons in the league, Malik has seen it all. Today, we're diving into the truth behind identity, discipline, and legacy. On and off the field, let's get into it. Malik, what an absolute pleasure it is to have you join us. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me, Thomas, Aaron. Appreciate you guys having me. Good to be here. Thank you for that introduction. It's always good to hear the past accolades because, you know, as a retired guy, you got to try to forget them and move on. So I appreciate you reminding. I tell my daughter, like, I was pretty cool and I was. She doesn't believe me.
Right. Well, now she's got proof. So you played 10 seasons in the NFL. You won a Super Bowl. You made the Pro Bowl. You were part of Sacksonville, one of the most dominant defensive lines in recent NFL history. What does raising the standard mean to you, especially now that you're on the other side of your playing career?
No, I mean, those were great times. I mean, I really have to sit here and give kudos to teammates like Avery Jones, Calais Campbell, Dante Fowler, and Yannick Ngakoue, right? It's truly a team effort to go out there and be considered Sacksonville and raise that bar. But now that I'm on this side of the lines, what does raising the bar mean? It's truly just implementing the same type of work ethic and style and accountability that I had when I was out there playing within the lines, right? Now it's a little different, right? I got to build a different team. And maybe the team isn't as all like, you know, Pro Bowlers and all-stars, right? We got to kind of pick and choose some people, but it's really building a team of people that can do the job and that want to commit to the job and that really want to give their all and believe in the mission. So that's what I truly think about. That's what I truly think about with that.
Awesome. You know, one of the things we like to dive into is because most of your weekend warrior fans see what happens on Sunday, but we know that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. What do you think is the biggest lie you feel the culture of the NFL sold you as an athlete about identity, success, and what it takes to build something that lasts well beyond the game?
The biggest lie, I would have to say off the top of my head, just like you already stated, how easy it is for us to go out there and have success. But I think the biggest lie is that just because we're there, that we don't deserve to be treated like normal people, I would say, right? Just because we're able to play on Sundays, live our dreams, and do what we're really good at, right? I'll say that. And on top of that, I will say the biggest lie is that people feel like they can come and talk about us on our job, right? And hit us on social media, right? There's full-blown, everybody's starting a podcast or a TV show talking about players and what they're going through on and off the field and their families, right? Let me come to your job as a finance bro or sis and talk about you missing plays or not getting the deals done, right? Like, nobody would like that. So I think really just, for me, the biggest lie, if I have to really like hone in on one, is just the capitalization of talking about players in their personal life or professional life when half these guys, say 3/4 of these people, have never picked up a football, been a professional, or wouldn't like if somebody came at them to keep accountable on something that they know nothing about. So I think that's probably the biggest one. I don't know if you could tell, it hits me in the core. What that
Yeah, you're not the first one that shared that with us. So you were drafted in the 5th round out of Tennessee, not a first rounder, not a sure thing. I don't know if you had a chip on your shoulder, but let's just say you did, that chip on your shoulder. How did that shape the way you approached your career? And how do you want young athletes to think about adversity, doubt, and the imposter syndrome?
Yeah, so I was a 5th rounder, 3rd day. You know, the agents all tell you, hey, man, I say, where am I going to be picked? I say, 2nd, 3rd day. There's always a lie, right? Because they don't know. I mean, the first day goes by, I'm like, damn, I was better than that guy. 2nd day, I'm like, I know I was better than those guys. And the 3rd day, you're just like, I just hope I get picked. And got that call from John Elway, Coach Fox. I was in Victorville, California, at my grandma's house, and it was just amazing, right? But then you get there, and I'll never forget this. I go to Denver. When I meet all the guys and we're at mini camp or whatever, and I go to Mitch Unrein, and I'm like, Mitch, I'm gonna take your job. Because when I got drafted, I looked at the roster. I was like, okay, who's here? I can do this and do that. And then it's funny enough, like he looked at me like, bro, what the F are you talking about? Right? Because then it's funny enough, and then a year goes by, we become really good friends, still friends to this day. And I had to apologize because I was like, man, I didn't realize just like the mindset I was coming in, trying to be divisive instead of trying to sit here and learn from you and understand how to stay in the NFL like you did, right? And so really just trying to take that ego and set it aside. And, you have to have a chip on your shoulder, but at the end of the day, you have to have the right chip and really aim it at the right people, right? And that's going out there with your play, being a good person, making sure you're where you're supposed to be. And so, that really taught me a lot. I think what I would tell these young kids, it's like when I was in the NFL and every year, once I got really good and solidified, the draft would come in and say Denver, Jacksonville, when the draft would come and we would see who we're getting in the D-line room, I would DM them like, hey, make sure you have my waters ready and make sure you get breakfast on Friday mornings. Be ready. To let them know, like when you come in here, you're not, when you're in college, you're at the high man total pool. You get drafted, you're good. When you come to NFL, you're starting at the bottom again. It's not just coming to one, going from college to the NFL like you're at the top. You start away at the bottom. So it's really humbling, right? And for me being a fifth rounder, I tell these guys, me and Yannick Ngakoue had many talks, because he was a highly drafted guy with a big ego. I mean, we have to let him know, like, man, it's not that here. We're either you're going to sit here and as a young guy, either you're going to go in there, sit down, listen, be quiet, take in all the information that all these guys around you are saying, stand in the back of the line when you're doing your drills, watching people go, hearing what the coach is saying, seeing what he's saying is not right, what is right, and then do that and then slowly move yourself up in the line to where you can be in the front, not messing everything up and be a true leader, right? And so that's what I would implore young guys. Get in there, be quiet, watch, listen, and just ask questions and truly humble yourself, right? Because the name of the game isn't to go in there on day one and assert dominance because, as we all know in the NFL, everybody's a top dog, alpha dog, right? And
Right.
so it starts to, and then amongst the alpha dogs, the alpha dogs kind of go alpha, then alpha. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
hierarchy. So understand where you fit, learn, and just to be benevolent, but also be understanding and open.
Right on. Well, one of the things we didn't share with you is we're going to tag team you. I took the first segment. Aaron's going to tackle segment 2, which is on identity and legacy. Aaron, take it away.
Let's go.
Let's do it. Okay, I'm a huge Broncos fan. For those that listen, you probably already know that. So you got to score the first touchdown in Super Bowl 50, a fumble recovery in the end zone. That's the moment that lives on in highlight reels forever.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that moment, beyond the stats, beyond the Pro Bowl, who is Malik Jackson?
First part, I wish I was Von Miller in that situation getting a sack. But at the end of the day, it's still I'm still compared, right? I'm still there. But who is Malik Jackson beyond that? I think that's a great question, right, Aaron? I think it's taken me a while to really figure that out, right? I think when you come into retirement after playing football since you were 8 years old, understanding who you are, being able to put yourself in a great position to be one of the best, and then retire, and now you're a novice. You don't even know how to take care of yourself. Right? The people that you've depended on, whether it be your agent, whether it be the team, whether it be a circle that you built around you, have all disappeared now because you're not making any money or paying them anymore. It's one of those things that's it's hard, and it's taken me. I've been retired for 3 years now, and it's taken me up to this 3 years to still figure it out. I tell people when I first retired, I was frolicking like Pepe Le Pew, having fun, trying to figure, just decompressing, right? And then I'm like, okay, cool. Let me take care of myself now. Let me be a grown up, whatever that means. I mean, trying to understand healthcare and how to pay a bill, or opening mail. At the beginning, I typed like this, right? Like, let me try to grow. And like I said, having the agent behind you, but then having your agent ask you to pay the last bill and then never talk to you again, right? And then try to hit them up. And there's no answer. You're like, damn, bro, like I thought we were friends, And so that really takes a toll on you, because now you're understanding you have to go out here and really figure yourself out by yourself or build a new team. And so that's what I did. And who is Malik Jackson? To answer your question. Father, son, brother, avid learner. And I guess the last thing I'll say, just to end the long list, shorten the list, is helper, right? Because being somebody that has had help, does have a financial team behind me that does put me in a lot of good situations. I see my brothers who have played 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 years maybe some living check to check, some not doing as well physically, mentally, emotionally. It really becomes a toll. It really takes a toll on me because when you're in the NFL or any sport, you're taught that you bleed, sweat, cry, fight with your brothers. You care about these guys. You care about the shield. You care about your brothers. You care about the team. You care about yourself, almost in that order, right? And so when she retired, it was just so hard for me to sit here and see guys going through stuff and understand that nobody's helping them and sit here and ride by them or hear their stories and not try to implement some change to help them in their life. And so that's why I really started doing what I started doing, which I'm sure we'll get on later, but that's what I started doing, what I'm doing, just really focus on helping people get to the next stage of life and thrive, because I don't think people truly understand when you're sitting here being praised. For example, you're sitting here being me and you, Aaron. I'm Malik Jackson. I'm coming in. Everybody loves Malik Jackson. Malik Jackson retires. Aaron comes in. Oh, everybody loves Aaron. But what about Malik Jackson, right? How do you know if he's feeling? How's his body? How's his mind? How's his kids? How's his finances? Like, what's he really going through? But people just keep jumping from person to person. And it kind of, I understand it, but, living through it, it's a shame, right? And so I guess that's who Malik is. Sorry.
I love it. I love the work that you're doing with Care League, which I know we're going to get into here. I think it's really special. And I know you had the opportunity. I'm so grateful you were a Denver Bronco first and foremost. And you brought us a championship. Let's see if they can do it again here in another few weeks. Mm-hmm. So you got to play at Denver, Jacksonville, Philly, Cleveland over 10 years. Mm-hmm. So really tell us, what does legacy mean to you, and how do you want to be remembered when people think back on your career?
What does legacy mean? I'll answer the latter question first. What do I want to be remembered for? I think the reason why I retired at 10 years is because I was sitting there, body was breaking down, younger guys were coming in. A lot of things I was able to used to do wasn't necessarily able to do, whether it's bend a corner or be as strong. Like I said, the knee can barely bend. I had a Liz Frank injury, right? So the body was just like, I think we need to have a conversation. And so I'm sitting there in my 10th year in Cleveland, the body's breaking down. I'm like, what am I doing here? Do I want to be, and this is purely for comparison, do I want to be sitting here as remembered as a gentleman like for lack of better comparisons, an Adrian Peterson, somebody that was a beast, right? But kept going and kind of faded to somebody that was like, because the younger generation, you ask them who LaMelo is, they're like, oh, LaMelo Ball. It's like, no, fam, like Carmelo Anthony. And I say that comparison to say, like, things change, right? New generations come up, watch the game, and have impressions about you. And so the reason why I stopped at 10 years is because the body's breaking down. And I want to be remembered as, I don't know if I can curse, but a Billy Badass, right? Somebody like, oh, that was Malik. He was a beast. Like, he was the one. Like, you had to watch out for him. He knew what he was doing. Just mutual respect. That's what I want to be remembered and my legacy to be about. And so that's why I retired at 10 years. I believe your first question was, why does legacy matter?
Yes.
Why does legacy matter? Legacy matters because that's what you're remembered, right? Whether it's his story or her story, however you want to say it, or whoever you are, that's who you are remembered by, right? The reason why I can go back to Jacksonville, Denver, Philadelphia, Cleveland, and people have a smile on their face and want to welcome me with open arms, or come to alumni weeks, and I have so many friends, is because you're a good person and you did the right things, and you really put the game before yourself. And I think people recognize that. So I think legacy is important because it's what you remembered. And it's what my daughter, when she gets older, say, oh, you're Malik Jackson's daughter? Wow, he was this, and that, And so legacy matters because that's what people remember. People don't necessarily remember a lot of things you say, a lot of things I'll say that you do, but I think it just matters because that's what sticks with you for the rest of your life. And I'm starting to see the fruits of that now when I go to Super Bowls, or I meet other people, or go to teams, or meet new people that are in the NFL that I don't know. They're like, yo, Malik, like, I must say, like, you were a dog, man. You killed it. I said, oh, thank you so much. So it just matters because that's what people remember, and that's your stamp for your life.
I love it. That's so great. So with that, you were part of probably one of the most dominant defenses at Sacksonville. What was it about the group, the culture, the defensive line that made it so special? And what did you learn from that culture to apply that once you left the league?
Well, start with this focus on the D-line. Overall, I think what was so special about the defense period is that we understood hierarchy, right? We understood who was, like I said, you have a bunch of alphas in one room. You have 11 alphas plus the backup. So let's say 25, 30 guys. You understand that the starters are the alphas, right? That's the first team. So we understood those were the guys, right? And then out of that, you had your 2, 3, 4, 5 dudes who led the team, the Telvin Smiths of the world, the the Miles Jacks of the world, the Calais Campbells, right? Who to me was the number one because of age and experience and also accolades. And so for me, I think for us, we understood hierarchy. I understood when Calais spoke, if anybody spoke after him or tried to combat him, then I stood up, right? Like I consider myself the enforcer to the leader, right? I was a true believer. Even to this day, hierarchy is what it is. You know, if you want to climb that ladder, it's like, it's almost like the assassin code. You got to kill the leader or beat the guy up, take his spot, and then you get it, right? It's like that code of just barbarianism. That's just what sports are. So I think we understood hierarchy. I think we understood what it meant to go out there and prove yourself on the field and then have a voice. And I think that's what we went out there and did. We talked with our pads. We understood what we were doing. The coaches trusted us, and we were allowed to go out there and be ourselves, which in turn turned into winning games and being able to put ourselves in position to be remembered. And so yeah, so you think hierarchy. Well, sorry, you had a second part to that question.
I did have a second question. So how do you take that and apply that outside into your life post being on the plane?
I think it's the exact same thing, right? It's understanding hierarchy, understanding what you do know, what you don't know, finding somebody that does know that, sit down, be quiet, listen, right? Put yourself around advisors, go get yourself educated. What I did when I first retired, my financial advisor, my investment advisor was like, hey, man, you should go back to school. And I was like, I'm not going back to Tennessee. He was like, well, Stanford has a 6-week program, business program. You want to start a business, go to business school. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I can't sit here and consider myself being in the NFL, right, without taking into account I had 8 years of Pop Warner, 4 years of high school, 4 years of college, 4 years of NFL on a basic contract, and then got what I need, then got what I'm remembered for. And so I was like, you know what, let me put myself in a position to educate myself, be around people that know what they're doing and understand what LVT is or CAC or, any of these terms in business that you would have to know to be able to be successful and have a conversation with somebody to not embarrass yourself. So it's putting yourself in position to be okay with not knowing everything. It's really hard when you're really good at something to understand you are a novice and you don't know how to do something. You have to ask for help and be okay with people. You ask them, hey, Aaron, can you help me with this? Like, oh yeah. Can you tell me about Peyton Manning? It's like, holy shit, man. Like, okay, but like, help me get better. You know what I mean? So it's just understand people want to hear your war stories and know what it's like meeting people and playing with people, playing in the Super Bowl, playing in games, and be okay with sharing those stories and reliving the glory days. And yeah, that's what I would say.
I love that. Yeah, we hear that a lot when we speak with professional athletes and, athletes alike, is everybody just wants to know about that experience, especially when you guys are so elite and play at that level. My last question before I turn it back over to Thomas is, what's one truth you wish every young athlete, especially those trying to make it to the NFL or the pro level, understood about what it really takes to compete and to build something that lasts?
I would tell the young athletes that sacrifice is the key to success. You don't get anywhere without sacrifice. And I'll put examples to it, right? I would tell guys when I was in the league, like, hey, taking time on going out, right? You got to take time out and don't sacrifice going out. You got to sacrifice maybe a girlfriend, right? Why? Because you got to focus on the game. I never had a girlfriend when I played in the NFL. I had one in college, but in the NFL. Why? Because I knew I couldn't give her everything that she deserved, right? I knew I had to give the game everything, and I had to sacrifice having that situation to be able to give the game everything. And then, I had my daughter when I was in the league, but even that's another story. But yeah, so I think it's just sacrifice, understanding sacrifice is the key to success. Anything you want in life, it's just going to bed early, eating the right foods, not drinking, right? Not smoking, just everything, just pure sacrifice is the key. And I'd also tell these young people, do not put all your eggs in one basket. It's very hard. You see people out there doing it. You see the success people are having, and you think, I can be that. I want people to know that you can be that, but get the education too, right? Think about what's next. That's something that I didn't do. And luckily it worked out for me, multimillionaire, whatever, big house, beautiful life. But, what if I didn't, right? Where would I be? And so that's what I really tell people to tell these young kids to really sacrifice and don't put all your eggs in one basket and become well-versed in life. And I think the new generation in the NFL are starting to do that with the podcast, going back to school while they're playing or getting their education before they go to the league, really focusing on themselves and building themselves outside of football to be more than have somebody say, shut up and dribble, right? Because that's the day of the old. These athletes are really putting themselves in position. So sacrifice and build yourself up to be more than just an athlete, just in case anything doesn't happen. Plus, you're going to be retired longer than you played. And that's, God willing, you live long, right? So understand that and start the education. And also I would tell them, start networking while you're playing, right? When you're playing, if you have a few tickets that nobody's coming to a game, I don't know if we talked about this, but give them to somebody in that city, somebody you really want to attach to, right? Give them to a kid of that guy. Say, hey, man, I know you and your kid are Denver Broncos friends. Here's 2 tickets. Build relationships while you're playing because they're going to help you when you retire.
That's so great.
Right on, Lee. So we're going to get into segment 3, which is advice across stages.
He can't. You're not unmuted. I can't unmute. You got to unmute yourself.
Thank you. All right, here we go. All right, thank you. Mm-hmm. So, Malik, we're going to get into segment 3, advice across stages. A lot of people don't know that you played at SC, you played at Tennessee, 2 programs that produce a lot of NFL talent. Mm-hmm. If you could sit down with yourself on draft day, you were a 5th-round pick, University of Tennessee, what advice would you give that version of Malik?
I think purely I would give the advice I would give myself is that it's a good question. And there's a lot of things that come to mind, right? But also I would just tell myself you're going to be okay. Relax, right? I would say this: know your worth, and know your worth in many ways, right? Know your worth when it comes to the ladies, right? I had situations where, back in my day, we had the Ray Rice situation, right? Yeah. Something similar happened to me, right? So know your worth when people know your worth in the means of, in addition to that, when people show you and tell you who they are, believe them, right? And so in that aspect, know your worth and believe people when they show you and tell you who they are. I think that's the 2 pieces of advice I would give myself.
No question. All right, let's fast forward to 2015. I'm sorry. What about when you first got to Denver? Mm-hmm. You're a rookie. Mm-hmm. You're a backup. You're not starting yet. Mm-hmm. What would you tell yourself but then about patience, preparation, and just staying ready?
I think I would tell myself just it's funny you say that, right? What would I tell myself? Because that was my mindset. I knew I was going to get my opportunity. Be ready for your opportunity. It's coming. It's going to come early, right? It's one of those things. I'd be out there. I'd be the guy in practice, right? Looking at the practice script before practice, right? Okay, cool. What's these plays? Okay, these are my 4. Okay, I'm all right. Okay, that's whatever the play is, body fat mass, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. I got a spike there. I got this. I got that, right? Just be ready, study. Yeah, that's what I was saying. And that's what I truly embodied being a young guy, because a small story I have, it's funny, when I got to OTAs, we're sitting there, coach is talking to us, and at the time you don't understand, but coach gives you a book and it's this thick, right? And and it's the playbook. You're like, what the fuck is this? And you're going through it, and it's just mine. And I go back to the hotel and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if this is for me. This is just too much, right? And it's second, third day of minicamp, rookie minicamp. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. And then, just say, I'm gonna go to bed early, wake up the next day and just make the decision, F it, man. I'm gonna make sure I know what I'm doing. I'm gonna ask questions and I'm gonna put myself to where when the time comes, I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna make sure I'm successful. I think the reason why I was successful is because I had good vets, right? Guys like Robert Ayers. When I got there, you hear about guys being like, you hear about guys in my position asking older guys like Robert Ayers, hey, what's this play? What do I do here? You're in your stance, you're like, oh shit, hey, what do I have here? And he's like, go straight. And you're supposed to have an up and out. And he's like, oh, when the coach is yelling at you, and he's telling you that so that you don't take his spot. Right. Luckily, I didn't have that situation where guys like Kevin Vickerson, Terrence Knight, Elvis Dumerville, like I said, Robert Ayers, and me and Robert Ayers went to Tennessee. So it was cool that he, really took me in his arm. So I had good vets to really push me and share with me, study with me. When I got to Jacksonville, Calais Campbell helped me out a lot with his moves, right? Big earthworm looking dude. I said, I always have a joke of like, you look like the worms from Men in Black. But no, even him pulling me aside, helping with pass rush moves. But also, I think the biggest thing was he would ask me, hey, do you know your finances? Do you know how much you have? Do you know how much you're making? Do you know how much your taxes are? Do you know how much your money managers are taking? It's just totally uncomfortable conversations. You're just like, well, I would say the only uncomfortable because I didn't know, right? But it's like, dang, okay, I have this vet here asking me questions, and these are things that I need to know to keep people accountable, right? And so it was really just having that leadership and that true brotherhood to understand and be accountable. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
It totally did. Now let's fast forward. You're about to win Super Bowl 50. You score the first touchdown of the game.
Mm-hmm.
What did that moment teach you about perseverance, preparation, and seizing the moment when it actually comes?
Man, just back to just being ready, right? And I have to give, it's one of those things when you go through life and you have disappointments, you have to learn from those disappointments, right? So I'll explain it by saying Super Bowl 48. We're in New York, we're playing the Seahawks. The day is just terrible. I mean, I tell people if I was watching that Super Bowl game, I would have turned it off because we just stunk it up.
Right.
Totally bad day, right? Into the game, you see the blue and green confetti fall in throughout the yelling. I'm on the bench. I think there's a picture, but I'm on the bench sitting there like this, just like I will never feel this again. I will put myself in a position to where anything that needs to be done to hoist that trophy will get done. And I think for the guys that stayed on that team for 2 years later for us to go to again, we made a lot of additions. Akeem Talib, TJ Ward, right? We had a lot of additions, but there were still a lot of guys that Von Millers of the world that stayed on that team, right? So I just think it's just understanding and taking the hardships, understanding, because I'm a true believer that losing isn't a loss unless you don't take anything from it.
Agreed.
So we took something from that loss. I took something from that loss. I made myself better. I saw what Michael Bennett did. And I was like, man, if he can do that, then I can do that, right? And so really taking the offseason and the next 2 years to get up to Super Bowl 50. So in that moment when I jumped on the ball, that's why we see me jumping on the ball. But that started 2 years ago. So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. There's a great book by John Maxwell. It's you win some, you learn some, right? You got to take something away from that opportunity, even if it is a loss. Mm-hmm. So, and now that with 10 years in the NFL behind you, what's the one thing you're trying to make sure young athletes understand that you had to learn the hard way?
Well, I'll say that's why I started my company called the Care League. Because I understand because I want kids to understand that your agents, that people around you, that not everybody, but we'll generalize it. People around you are only around you because you're doing something great and you can have the option to make a lot of money. So understand if that's going to be the case, if you're going to be used, understand the game, right? Understand the game. Okay, if they're going to use me, then I'm going to use them. What can I get out of them? And it's not necessarily like, give me money, do me this, do me that, right? Like, okay, cool. Educate me here. Tell me and keep people accountable, right? Educate me here and let me keep you accountable, right? Are you a friend that I'm propping up so you can help me with my day-to-day stuff? Cool. Well, like LeBron did, go get educated. Be able to help me in a way that you can sit here and help me when I need it, right? Not just sit around and take my money. And so that's not what we do, but that's what I would tell the kids. And at the Care League, what we do is help guys understand, one, do you need access to doctors, connections to health, wellness, lifestyle? Can we help your agency put you in a position to where if you get hurt, you need an MRI, we can get you something the next day. Say you got cut from the team and you need something. So that's what we do is help kids understand, being a 10-year NFL vet, my partner, Billy Miller, being 11, 12 NFL vet, having us being able to mentor these young kids and say, hey man, like relax, take a breath. Understand it's a game that's not for long for a reason, right? Give it your all right now. So yeah, I think I would just tell these guys and just really just don't be used, be the user. And I mean that in just the most holistic, non-disrespectful way.
Totally get it. We're going to turn it over to segment 4, which is the rapid fire round with Aaron. Go for it, Aaron. Take it away.
Okay, I'm back. It's me. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you just to finish my statement. So it's going to be fast and furious. So
okay.
Here we go. So now I lost my questions. Where'd they go? Okay. Discipline equals
success.
Leadership equals
accountability.
Faith equals
faith. Faith equals a road.
Legacy equals
Greatness.
What's one thing you would never compromise on?
My family.
And what is one message you would put on a billboard for the next generation of athletes?
Sacrifice for everything you want.
I love it. Okay, Thomas, it's back to you.
Malik, we're going to get into the final segment here, and we want to take this opportunity for you to address the Care League. That's something very important to you. It's a passion that you have. Post-football, tell us a little bit about the Care League.
Yeah, I appreciate the platform. So the Care League is a company that I started because I understood the hardships that athletes have when they are retiring from the league. It started for me when I retired. I understood there was nobody there. The team moved on. The training room moved on, right? You're used to having access to doctors or specialists. That's gone. Your agent has moved on, like I said. You don't have the brotherhood. And so you're all by yourself. And so the Care League was made. And what the Care League does is combine white glove concierge service with the trusted coordination of a wellness team, empowering executives, professionals, and athletes to live healthier, more balanced, better connected lives. And the way we do that is by having a network of lifestyle providers and also a network in wellness providers. And so, whether you need a medical Rolodex, appointment scheduling, essentially you want to go out, I tell people you want to go to Marbella, Spain, eat at the best restaurant, party at the best clubs. You make one call, you let us know what you want to do, where you want to do, and we book it all for you because we have the relationships there. Essentially, we're a executive assistant for your life. And so, boutique concierge service. And so, for me, it was important because I understand, I'll say I did a TED Talk, and my title was, is it better to have had and lost or never had it all? Really speaking on the access and connections you have in the NFL, and then you retire, you don't have anything. And so that's where just the idea, the inception of the idea came, is losing everything, but wanted to give it back to retired athletes. And also understanding as I was building this, how it can help professionals and executives and even current athletes, whether it be with the agencies or the athlete themselves, to make sure that anything they need, they make one call, it's done, no hesitation, no roadblocks.
Excellent. That's fantastic. We're going to get into how they can get a hold of you and where they can contact you. But my favorite question for every athlete, what are Malik's top 3 sports films of all time?
Oh, top 3 sports films. That's a good question. When I was in Pop Warner, every I guess Friday, because the game was on Saturday, I would watch Any Given Sunday.
Sure.
That was a great one. What's the one with Denzel Washington, left side, right side?
Remember the Titans.
Remember the Titans. And my third sports movie. I don't know. If it's not a movie, but I'll kind of veer off. But I got to be like Eastbound and Down. You know what I mean? It's like that was one of the Easter.
Oh yeah.
Eastbound and Down, man. That was just a hilarious one. But yeah, I think those would probably have to be my three top.
I love it. Malik, where can people get a hold of you, and how can they follow you on your journey with the Care League?
Yeah, so my personal Instagram is at the Malik Jackson. Business Instagram is the Care League _, and then our website is thecareleague.com. I mean, you can find us there, read more about us, and please hit me up. I'm an open book, and I would love to just connect with everybody. And just want to say I really appreciate you guys' time and the platform to come on here. Getting to know you guys over the past few weeks has been super cool. And being here, I really appreciate how easy you guys make this for me, how fun this is. It's always fun to be able to relive the old days and, talk to people. But also, I really appreciate where you guys take a different stance, as being able to educate people and take my experiences and pass it down to the youth. So I really appreciate that opportunity to share what I've been through, to help people that may be going through something or they're going to go through what I went through, and kind of get some guidance. So thank you.
Of course. Good people find good people. Malik Jackson, thank you for bringing the truth. If this conversation hit you, do 2 things for us, team. 1, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. An athlete chasing their dream, a parent trying to guide their kid, a coach building something that lasts. Number 2, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It helps us reach more athletes, parents, and leaders who need to hear this message. And if you're an athlete, parent, or coach ready to raise the standard, check us out at blueprintbluechip.com. We help athletes build identity, discipline, and legacy that goes way beyond the game. And as you can see, we always have some incredible guests on our podcast. If you're ready to get clear on who you are beyond the game, join us for our 3-day reset. It's absolutely free. at blueprintbluechip.com. This is a Standard podcast, and this movement only grows when we raise the standard together. Talent fades, but truth endures. Raise the bar. Let's rebuild the culture and become the standard. Malik, Aaron, thanks so much, you guys, for joining us. You guys have a great rest of your day. Awesome.